Snow White is actually written by Greta Gerwig, who also wrote Barbie and Lady Bird and Princess Ha, and we've been talking about her a lot recently because of Barbie, but also she's one of my favorite writers and directors. I've liked her since high school, so this pains me because what she is doing with Snow White seems absolutely terrible.
Dude, I trusted you. I trusted her.
Because she's involved, I want to believe that this movie will have some redeeming qualities. Will I actually watch it? Probably not. But I hope that it does for those of you who do watch it. But the lead actresses, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, are making it very, very difficult for me to believe that there is anything redeeming about this project whatsoever. Now, I am sure that we have all seen this viral clip, but let's just watch again.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Oh my god, it's a really incredible story. You're making this girl boss story based on an important father figure. Her father tells her to be brave and strong. Don't you think that there's a, something redeeming about men in this story? That just stood out to me. This is the first time I noticed that, even though I've watched this like 6 times now.
Just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
I am. Why do they look so smug? They both have that look on their face, just like the feminists, like, yeah, we're so much better than you.
Recent events have given the Snow White story and the intense rivalry between Rachel Zegler and Brett Cooper a new level of intrigue. The Daily Wire's rival adaptation of Snow White and the controversial circumstances surrounding her departure from the network have brought Brett Cooper, a legendary YouTube sensation, into the public eye. And the #1 placement concept on the YouTube algorithm, they have a full-on story. Cooper has not publicly addressed the issue since being allegedly fired in what sources characterize as a hostile move, which has fueled rumors about the Daily Wire's financial issues and CEO Jeremy Boring's increasingly unpredictable behavior. Despite these difficulties, fans who long for a return to the timeless romance and magic that made this story a classic have hailed Cooper's casting as Snow White as a victory. To Rachel Zegler's dismay, her method, which is based on the principles of the original story, has received considerable acclaim. Zegler has not hidden her contempt for Cooper's faithful adaptation, despite receiving harsh criticism for her modernized feminist take on the character. Accusing her detractors of being antiquated, Zegler's venomous remarks have only exacerbated the dispute. This is more than just a story about 2 Snow Whites, it's a cultural conflict that's revealing significant gaps in Hollywood and beyond. Zegler has put her own spin on PETA and has exposed the hole in her own theories, all to examine whether or not they realize the shared history that centers women in power. While audiences continue to be divided by Zegler's approach, Cooper's interpretation is being praised as a breath of fresh air. Fans and critics alike have been captivated by the battle for Snow White, which has taken on new dimensions with the addition of additional drama from the Daily Wise Financial. The question is whether Brett Cooper's classic version is what viewers have been longing for, or if Disney went too far in adapting a beloved classic to fit contemporary cultural narratives. Hold on tight, because this is only the beginning of the story. Adding to the drama, the Daily Wire is allegedly having serious financial difficulties. CEO Jeremy Boring has reportedly been frantically bugging the office, possibly in an effort to address the impending crisis, according to internal rumors. This upheaval gives Coupe's transition into a new role as Snow White in ARAL production in an additional layer of intrigue. There is no greater significance to the timing of these developments. Questions concerning the dynamics at the Daily Wire behind the scenes are raised by the tension between Cooper and her former employer as she enters the spotlight for her role as Snow White. Will this disruption help Cooper fully embrace her new role, or will it only strengthen her position as a tenacious character in this crucial Hollywood confrontation? It reveals more about Cooper than just commercial performances. We get more into her personal life and about how the difficulties faced by the Daily Wire also cloud its aspirational foray into the entertainment sector. The Daily Wire's ability to overcome these internal issues and keep its position in the cultural landscape is still in doubt, even as Cooper's Snow White project gains popularity and recognition for its fidelity to the original story. Let's take a moment to reflect on what transpired. Zegler's response is less about upholding storytelling values and more about negotiating a fierce competition for public acceptance, although this could be dismissed at first glance as 2 actresses with divergent creative visions. The rivalry between Zegler and Cooper is difficult to overlook. Once hailed as a Disney rising star, Zegler is currently dealing with a crisis in her reputation after alienating fans with her dismissive remarks about the original Snow White. Here comes Brett Cooper, an outsider from a politically charged platform who is not from Hollywood and has embraced the role of Snow White with pure passion for the beloved story. Without a doubt, Zegler has been alarmed by Cooper's increasing appeal and favorable reception, which she may interpret as a direct challenge to her relevance and authority in the position. Zegler's criticism is timed to coincide with the growing excitement surrounding Cooper's performance, making it difficult to avoid seeing this as an attempt to undermine her rivals. Zegler's portrayal of Snow White has already been criticized for being unduly modernized and disconnected from the character's origins, suggesting that her insecurity is the main source of her criticisms. However, her own remarks, like acknowledging that she had only seen the original movie once and that she didn't enjoy it, haven't done much to win over franchise fans. Cooper's respect for the source material and her personal connection to the role, on the other hand, have resonated with viewers. Zegler's dismissiveness of Cooper's strategy and her defensiveness during interviews suggest a deeper fear of being eclipsed by someone who, ironically, isn't a typical Hollywood actress. Although insecurity and rivalry are certainly factors, Zegler's position also shows a sincere divergence in storytelling philosophies. In keeping with a larger Hollywood trend of updating beloved characters to reflect modern ideals, she envisions Snow White as a fearless, self-reliant leader. Conversely, Cooper embodies a counter-movement that places a higher priority on maintaining the authenticity of classic stories. It's possible that Zegler's criticisms of Cooper are motivated by a sense that following the classic Snow White tale is outdated or regressive. Her contempt for the timeless themes of innocence and love, however, comes across as a dismissal of what made the story so popular with readers of all ages. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information about the original maker of the story themselves and the creator of the film and what the actual ladies said. Zegler's criticism ultimately highlights more about her than Cooper. It portrays an actress who finds it difficult to balance her artistic decisions with her public persona. Whether motivated by rivalry, insecurity, or disagreement, her attacks on Cooper appear to be ill-advised. Rather than accept responsibility for her divisive portrayal, Zegler has opted to shift the discussion in an effort to undermine Cooper's version. Ironically, this serves to further solidify Cooper's standing as an advocate for people who believe that contemporary Hollywood has lost its soul. Meanwhile, Snow White acolytes seem to be supporting Cooper's unabashedly traditional interpretation, fed up with Hollywood's attempts to reimagine their childhood favorites. What kind of constructive discussion about creative direction might have taken place appears to be Zegler's last-ditch effort to regain the attention that is steadily moving in her rival's direction. What negative effects has Brett Cooper's devoted portrayal of Snow White had on Zegler's updated vision? The way Cooper handles Snow White is a tribute to both the original Disney animated classic and the Brothers Grimm story. Her interpretation, which is based on conventional ideals like love, compassion, and fortitude, has received recognition for honoring the story's heritage. Her performance has been hailed by fans as genuine and heartfelt, with many expressing relief that someone is at last bringing Snow White back to life the way they remember her. In contrast, Zegler's updated version, which emphasizes a fiercely independent Snow White rejecting romantic love and focusing on themes of female leadership, has come under fire for ignoring the essential components of the original story. Due to her public remarks, which include her contempt for the 1937 movie and her casual treatment of its themes, Zegler has become a lightning rod for criticism. This criticism is strengthened by Cooper's reverent interpretation of the tale, which paints Zegler as disconnected from the very audience she was intended to enthrall. Cooper's strategy has won over a sizable number of fans who feel deceived by Disney's increasingly progressive retellings of beloved stories. Zegler's apparent indifference is sharply contrasted with her outspoken admiration for the original tale and her intimate connection to its themes. Cooper's outspoken appreciation of Snow White's legacy and Zegler's admission that he only saw the original movie once before rejecting it have clearly caused a rift. One actress respects the story's origins while the other aims to change them. Fans are rallying around Cooper as the real heir to the Snow White legacy, and this divide has increased the backlash against Zegler. Comparisons between the two actresses are common on social media and online forums, with Cooper standing out as a symbol of defiance against Hollywood's tendency to modernize beloved characters at the expense of their inherent charm. Cooper's realistic, upbeat attitude stands in stark contrast to Zegler's defensive and frequently contemptuous reactions to criticism. Zegler's remarks, such as calling parts of the original Snow White eerie and archaic, have further distanced Cooper from her more approachable and sincere persona. The backlash against Zegler has been exacerbated by this shift in public opinion, as fans believe Cooper embodies the virtues they identify with: Snow White, kindness, humility, and a connection to classic storytelling. In an age of perpetual reinvention, Cooper's success also speaks to a larger cultural sentiment, a desire for nostalgia and authenticity. In addition to being a performer, her rendition of Snow White is a cultural statement and a reclamation of a tale that many believe has been misrepresented by Disney's more recent adaptations. It's becoming clear that Pollyanna's vision of essentially the same story as Disney's is. Cooper's strategy is refreshing for moviegoers fed up with Hollywood's alleged pandering, while Zegler's vision is a disappointing surprise. By staying true to the original story, Cooper has unintentionally created a standard by which Zegler's updated version is being evaluated and found wanting. Cooper's adaptation of Snow White has not only rekindled interest in the beloved classic, but also highlighted the dangers of deviating too much from its essence. Because Cooper's method demonstrates that audiences are still strongly tied to traditional storytelling and opposed to needless changes, the backlash against Zegler has gotten more intense. What makes Rachel Zegler think Brett Cooper's portrayal is dangerous? And how does this relate to what she said about the first Snow White? It's really easy. The reason Rachel Zegler May sees Brett Cooper's portrayal of Snow White as a threat is that Cooper's accurate rendition directly contradicts Zegler's updated vision and highlights the contentious nature of her own strategy. In sharp contrast to Zegler's dismissal of the 1937 classic as archaic and unsettling, Cooper's portrayal is rooted in respect for the original story and its timeless values. This divergence makes Zegler defensive and possibly insecure, undermining her attempts to redefine the character and inviting negative comparisons. The romantic and conventional themes at the heart of the original Snow White are rejected in Zegler's adaptation, which places an emphasis on independence and leadership. Cooper's performance, however, reinforces the timeless appeal of these very components. By embracing the innocence, kindness, and faith in love of the original character, Cooper has appealed to the affection and nostalgia of fans who value the legacy of the story. For Zegler, this sharp contrast is a serious danger, since it shows how different her interpretation is from what many fans value. A wider discussion concerning the merits of conserving traditional storytelling as opposed to adapting it for contemporary audiences has been spurred by Cooper's success. Zegler sees this backlash as a threat to both her public persona as a supporter of progressive storytelling and her portrayal of Snow White. She is forced to consider the possibility that audiences might not be as open to her vision as she had hoped. A major factor in the backlash against Zegler has been her public remarks regarding the original Snow White. She has alienated a significant portion of her fan base by dismissing the 1937 movie as being relevant to contemporary audiences and criticizing its emphasis on romance and love. Her admission that she only saw the original film once and detested it served to confirm the impression that she has little regard for the character's legacy. Conversely, Cooper is positioned as a supporter of tradition due to her respect for the original tale and her personal affinity for its themes. Because of this disparity, Zegler's remarks come across as condescending and outdated. Cooper is now viewed as a more genuine and revered steward of the Snow White legacy by fans who were previously dubious of Zegler's strategy, which heightens the scrutiny of Zegler's interpretation. A deeper ideological conflict is reflected in the stark two actresses' differing approaches to Snow White. Modern feminist ideals that prioritize leadership and agency over conventional fairy tale romance are consistent with Zegler's interpretation. Although some people may find resonance in this approach, it has also been criticized for eroding the character's inherent charm. as he wrote in Emmanuel Webster's dictionary, said to exhibit intelligence, valor, eloquence, and a soft tongue. Fans disenchanted with Hollywood's alleged drive for woke reimaginings, however, will find Cooper to be a return to storytelling based on timeless values. Because Cooper demonstrates that a faithful depiction of Snow White can still enthrall audiences, this ideological conflict transforms Cooper into a symbolic threat to Zegler's vision. Cooper questions Zegler's modernized narrative's necessity, subjecting Zegler's artistic decisions to close examination. Zegler's responses to Cooper's portrayal might also be an indication of rivalry between co-workers. Despite being best known as a YouTuber, Cooper's success and adored role was taken on by an actress. Cooper's nickname compares to Zegler's difficulties attracting viewers as a budding Hollywood star. Zegler may feel overshadowed by Cooper's ability to win over the public with a more conventional approach, and this dynamic could exacerbate his insecurities. Furthermore, Zegler's defensive stance criticizing Cooper's performance heightened the impression that she is too harsh and contemptuous. Zegler risks coming across as petty by criticizing Cooper rather than emphasizing her own advantages, which would further damage her reputation with fans. Cooper has received accolades for his portrayal of Snow White because it feels sincere and real. Her ability to capture the spirit of the character while paying homage to the story's origins has been hailed by fans. This favorable reaction stands in stark contrast to the contentious reaction to Zegler's remarks and performance. Zegler's strategy is portrayed negatively the more Cooper is praised, which results in a feedback loop that exacerbates the conflict between the two actresses. Zegler's concern about how her version of Snow White will be received is highlighted by her perception of Cooper's portrayal as a threat. Zegler appears defensive about being overshadowed by a more conventional portrayal of the character, indicating that she is acutely aware of the criticism her updated vision has received. Although her criticism of Cooper may be interpreted as an effort to divert attention away from her own contentious decisions, it runs the risk of backfiring by confirming the audience's perception that she is not living up to their expectations. And that's it. Brett Cooper and Rachel Zegler have different worldviews and beliefs. Zegler's severe criticism of Cooper, Snow White, may be the result of insecurity or a severe fear of being overshadowed. Zegler's modernized approach has flaws, but Cooper's faithful portrayal has garnered a lot of support. It's not just about two actresses. This is a cultural conflict about what we truly want from our stories and between tradition and innovation. Will Disney's Snow White fail in the face of the controversy, or will the Daily Wire's traditional approach hold up better? Share your opinions with us in the comments section. Do you support Cooper or Zegler? Don't hold back. And be sure to subscribe to Woke Informant for more candid perspectives on the most outrageous scandals in Hollywood. Continue to ask yourself why and by whom you are being told stories until the next time.